Hi folks, I'm Marissa and welcome back to Artful Praxis, where we discuss everyday solutions to living a more creative life. Today I'm going to be talking to you about spilling the tea on tea. You could say this is a talk about creativity. Wow, that was a really bad joke. I promise this whole video is not just going to be one continuous stream of dad jokes about tea. However, there may be a few more. I can't totally promise that I won't go off the rails. Now, I know what you may be thinking. What the heck does tea have to do with being creative? Sure, we drink it, a lot of us, every day. It's very commonplace. You find it everywhere in every culture around the world. So what's the big deal about tea? Well, as it turns out, a lot. Studies have shown that people who drink tea are actually more creative than people who don't drink tea. I will link down below to a study that was done in 2018 in China, where they gave some people water and some people tea, and then they gave them a set of problems that they needed to solve, and the people who drank tea, hands down, came up with more creative solutions, more solutions overall in volume, and we're just more in a creative mindset. And today I want to talk about why is that? What is it about tea that attracts creative people? How can we leverage it as a tool to tap into our creative flow state, which is something that I want to explore more about in this channel? And just generally, what's magical about tea? It's in the simple things that we find the greatest creative gems. Okay, so let's get right into it. I want to talk to you about 3 ways that tea can contribute to your creative praxis. The first one is tea as a medicine. The second is tea as a social connection. And the third is tea as a ritual for you as an individual artist. Penn State Medical School has found that there are linkages to tea increasing your immunity, fighting inflammation, and also warding off mental diseases like Parkinson's and dementia. Green tea in particular is linked to reduced inflammation, physical activation, and more mental focus. There are 2 chemical compounds in most teas. Number 1 is caffeine. We all know about caffeine. It increases our mental acuity, our focus, our mental stamina. It gets us amped up. It heightens a sense of arousal and awareness. And then there's L-theanine, which creates a sense of wellness and relaxation in the body that really helps counterbalance that edginess that we get from the caffeine. So with these 2 chemical compounds together, it's the perfect marriage of both focus and attention and relaxation and calm. Really balancing between those 2 worlds so that you can activate that creative flow space that we're all trying desperately to get in tune with as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So tea can really help open the door to your creative flow. University College of London was curious about whether or not tea drinking itself was related to the chemical composition of the tea, like the health benefits of those things, or was it just simply the fact that, tea is a time of day where you can rest and relax. They found that compared with caffeinated placebo drinkers and tea drinkers, the tea drinkers were actually able to rebound from stressful situations much quicker, and that their cortisol levels after completing a very stressful task went down much quicker than the placebo drinkers. So there is some actual connection between tea itself, whether it's the polyphenols in it or the antioxidants or some other mineral in the tea that is helping people integrate their stress better. And I know, speaking personally, that when I'm working on something creative, like this video for instance, I should be drinking some tea right now. When one is doing something stressful, having that resilience and that ability to bounce back into a creative flow space again and to just kind of like put it behind you, that's something that I'm always looking for ways like to biohack my way back into a less stressed out state of mind. Creative work can be very stressful sometimes, and so I think that it's nice to know that it's not just all in your head, that tea drinking actually is helping you manage your stress. Same University College of London study also found that L-theanine improved memory reaction times when paired with caffeine. So the contrast of these 2 chemicals together created a relaxed, capable state of mind that you are in the zone, which they said is very similar to a meditative state. And that again brings us back to our elusive creative flow state that we're all trying to harness with our creative praxis. I also found that habitual tea drinkers over the course of their whole lifetime were 21% less likely to develop depression. Obviously, there's lots of other factors that contribute to mental health, but I think any advantage that we can get, I will certainly take. Studies also showed that the mental health benefits of drinking tea were equivalent to 2.5 hours of exercise per week. And I don't know about you, but for me, it's a struggle to get out there and exercise. Obviously, it doesn't counterbalance the physical aspects of exercise, but the mental health benefits are certainly ones that I'm always chasing after. So, yay tea. Tea culture exists on literally every continent in the world and probably every country within each continent. In the US, there are so many different cultures that have converged here and have brought with them their very rich and beautiful tea cultures along with them, and I feel really lucky to be on the West Coast where there's such a strong connection to both Chinese and Japanese tea culture here, and I really enjoyed having those shared cultural experiences with my Chinese and Japanese friends. Tea drinking can help us maintain social bonds that we really need as artists, and I think that that cannot be underestimated, especially coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're all really starved for social connection, but really not sure how to reestablish some of those friendships and relationships. And I think that tea drinking can be an excuse of sorts, a sort of benign way of asking somebody to be part of your social circle. Tea is also symbolic of hospitality and kindness, and thinking about when someone is sick or sad, offering them a cup of tea can really be a way of showing care. Tea can also provide a really great activity. I told you I was going to make more jokes. Tea can provide an activity where you don't have to talk. You have something to focus on. And I think that creating that sense of space in a social environment is really beneficial. I know as somebody who likes to talk a lot, having moments of silence, of reflection before engaging in a dialogue with somebody can really make everyone feel heard and appreciated. Tea can also be a social ritual or even a religious ceremony, and sharing someone's culture is really a way to get to know who they are at a very intrinsic level. And as artists, I think that those levels are really the ones that have the most impact on our creative praxis and how we frame ourselves in relationship to the world, and really just understanding the world in general. As an artist, it's so important to stay connected to our social environment. It is really the lifeblood of all of our work, of everything that we come up with. I mean, these ideas that we have, they don't exist in a vacuum, and so finding ways of connecting with other people is really essential to that. And tea can really be the foundation from which all of these great ideas and stories and histories kind of come falling into our laps and refill our creative well. And now I want to get into tea as a ritual. Earlier I mentioned the social and ceremonial ways that tea can act as a ritual, but in this section I really want to focus on how tea is an integrated ritual that could be either shared with friends, but more often one that we take as a solo praxis. And specifically, I want to think about how tea connects us to our five senses and also to the different elements of the world. So first off, tea is a physical experience. It's warm, you can feel it both in your hands, in the cup, and also within your body after you drink it. It has strong visceral ties to earth elements. It literally is earth being added to water and then consumed. It is a physical manifestation of us integrating the world with our physical body. It's literally creating a connection to the ground. It's literally grounding us. I told you, more tea jokes that just keep coming. But what I mean is, tea imbues with it a sense of the earth. Tea is also a liquid, and we are 70% of water. And so this idea of tea being almost like an analog of our own body is a very spiritual kind of experience. It has that sense of flow, of water, of washing over us that just kind of gets us into that flow state of mind. Tea is fragrant. You can smell it. It has a really deep connection to memory recall. If you've ever had a tea in one place and then you drink it again 10 years later, you're instantly transported back to that moment when you had that tea for the first time. Our olfactory senses are actually the most primal of all of our senses. We developed the sense of smell way before our other senses. And so really this olfactory experience is really key in the connection and almost in the immediacy of tea. So tea is almost like a portal to the past, to our history, to traditions, and to our experiences. Tea is flavorful. It can either have a very muted, subtle flavor or all the way up to the juicy, bursting explosions in our mouth. This sense of taste really connects us to our sensual self, and sensuality and creativity might as well be considered one and the same thing. Tea is like ASMR on steroids. It is such an auditory journey that you go on, from boiling the water to the crunchiness of the tea leaves and then pouring that first cup. Tea is very musical. And not to be left out, the queen of all of the senses, the visual elements of tea are captivating. Tea is beautifully rich with colors, not only in the tea leaves themselves and the way that they infuse themselves into the water, but also all of the things that go along with tea, whether it's a fine china that you have, or teacups from Iran, or from some other far off place. And there's so much color and pageantry with tea that really is all about honoring the practice of drinking tea, and there really is an art to making tea. And so it's no surprise here that the ritual of drinking tea is also just visually very spectacular. The ritual of drinking tea is a journey of our senses. Drinking tea invites us to stop, reflect, drop in, tune out all of the noise and chaos in our life, and to really take a beat. And this kind of practice is so essential to being a creative person. It really is creativity 101 to get to that quiet place in your mind. And tea can be a portal to it. I will leave you with a quote from a spiritual leader and avid tea drinker, Thich Nhat Hanh. "Drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the world earth revolves. Slowly, evenly, without rushing toward the future. Live the actual moment. Only this moment is life." So what did we talk about today? We talked about tea as a medicine, the way it physically nourishes us. We talked about tea as a social connection and the way it strengthens our bonds with those that we love and our shared histories and experiences. And finally, tea as a personal, sensual ritual that can help us delve deeper into our creative selves. And so with that, I'm going to leave you just with a thank you for joining me today, and hopefully you got something out of this little TED Talk about tea, spilling the creativity with my friends here on Artful Praxis. If you enjoyed this, I would really appreciate a thumbs up on this video so it can get out to more people who are just creative as you are. Or if you feel so inclined to subscribe to this new channel as we get our feet wet and share more ideas with each other. And if you have ideas of things that you'd like to see on this channel, please comment below and let me know. I'm all ears for whatever it is you guys want to talk about. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.